When you first start to realize that your journey to parenthood isn't going to be as easy as you hoped, the idea of doing IVF is like this light at the end of a really dark tunnel. And even though it's not something you'd ever want to do, you know it's there if you really need it. But what happens when IVF doesn't work? When you get to that point where you've got no options left? Today on the podcast, we follow the journey of one incredible woman who went through all of this and so much more to have her family. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Roza, thank you so much for being here with me today. I am so excited to speak to you. I feel like I got to share in your journey from such a long time ago, and to watch everything that has unfolded has been an absolute joy for me. So thank you.
The joy has been mutual, really.
Oh.
I would like to thank you. So
thank you, my love. Well, let's start by learning a little bit about you. So where are you from? How did you come to the fertility yoga world? And can you share your journey, if you don't mind, in as much detail as you like?
Of course. I actually went through our conversations. I scrolled all the stories, and I discovered that I wrote to you in April 2023. And I am still very sad that it happened so late in my journey, because we started nearly 4 years ago. I'm Polish, so at the moment I'm in Italy. My husband is Italian. We live between Poland and Italy, but we have very free. We are very free spirits. We have very specific occupations. He's a musician. He's a opera conductor, and I am a painter. So basically, he has to work all around the world, and I can work all around the world. So we travel a lot, and among all those adventures, we decided to try to start our family, which didn't happen straight away. And it was a very bumpy road, very long and bumpy road. And I never expected it to be like this. I remember that after the first failure, I talked to my mom and I said that it's so funny that basically all your life, you're trying to be careful and to avoid to not get pregnant by accident. And then when you really want, it just doesn't happen. And so we tried, and it happened after a few months. Maybe it was a year. I don't remember. Actually, it happened in May 2021. I was not aware that I was pregnant because I had no symptoms. And to make it even more funny, my husband had a contract in Australia at the moment. So he was not here with me. And it happened to be an extrauterine pregnancy, the first one. It was in the left tube, growing perfectly. And I only found out because I started to bleed, and it didn't seem like a normal period. So it was on and off, and it lasted long. So I had massive headaches. I didn't feel great, but I had no other symptoms. So at some point, after a few days, I went to the hospital with a friend of mine in Italy. And I repeat, I'm not Italian, I'm Polish. We are very different culturally, and my language skills in 2021 were not at the top I wasn't at the top of my game. So it was a big adventure. I went with a friend to the Italian ER, and it was a drama when they told me that it's an extrauterine pregnancy. I didn't even know something like that existed. So anyway, I was there alone. Husband 9 hours away from me. 9 hours difference. I couldn't even call him because he was having a show at the moment. So I felt very sad, discouraged. I think I was panicking a bit as well, because all of those things together, the language barrier, different country, the fact that I'm alone, the fact that something like that even exists and it happened to me, it was just overwhelming. So to make it a little bit shorter, it actually evolved kind of great because it started to remove itself. So they didn't give me anything. I spent 5 nights in the hospital. They just monitored my health, and it was okay. It was just a nightmare to stay at the maternity, in the maternity section, hearing all the babies crying, all the ladies walking around being happy, and I was all alone in the room, just crying like crazy. I didn't even feel the need to eat. So it was a big thing. It took me quite a while to try to start again. They also told me to take at least 3 months, and then we tried, but I was really scared. And I think we started to try after 5 or 6 months. And well, guess what? It happened again. The same tube, the same situation, but different scenario. This time we were in Sydney, Australia, and we were just one day before our flight back home. And thank God it actually happened this night, the night of his last show. Of course, he wasn't there with me because he was on the stage. So I had to go with a friend. This time I was aware that I was pregnant. I had all the tests. I did all the possible blood tests and pee tests, and I was super happy. I felt great. There was no weird symptoms. We were aware that I was nearly 6 weeks pregnant. Everything was fine until I started to bleed like crazy. And this time it was very, very strong. So I went this time to Australian ER. I spent the night over there, and just to find out in the morning that they have to remove this time the tube. This time I wasn't alone. Did the surgery. The health department was amazing. You have great health service and the help of therapists, psychotherapists, and all kind of support that you can just imagine. So the recovery was pretty fast, but that meant that I had to stay 2 more weeks in Australia before going back home. Couldn't fly immediately afterwards, and the recovery was horrible. It was so painful. It was just, I can't even describe it. Anyway, then we decided to try again the same year. So that was February 2022. We tried again after a few months, 3 or 4, and it happened again in November the same year, 2022. The third extrauterine pregnancy, this time on my right tube. And I have to tell you that this thing really destroyed me mentally. It, I don't know, left me in pieces. I don't even know how to describe it. I just felt I gave up. What else is there to do? And we found out only because I was insisting, because I knew that we were pregnant again. All the blood work, so all the betas were great, and there was only 3 days before our ultrasound. But I insisted that, maybe let's check it, because we need to go for another contract to, I think it was Germany. And I said, I'm not going on a plane without the, the ultrasound. Well, they didn't let me out from the hospital because I was about to rupture again. That was again around 6 weeks. It was 5 weeks and 4 days, I think. And it was too late to give me medicine. So the only solution was to remove the second tube. And yeah, it happened again in Italy. This time my timing was better. I knew what to do. So it wasn't as hard as the first time, as weird as it sounds, losing another tube. But yeah, it was just the same scenario. I knew what to expect. So the problem is that the recovery was long, not the physical one. This time the mental one was very, very long. And I'm talking about November 22. And I started therapy in April. I had to, because I lost the will to get up from bed. And I'm not a sad person. I'm always very happy and I have a lot of energy. And even if something bad happens, I somehow can explain it to myself, so I'm not dragged into the darkness. But this thing just ate all my hope, and I just couldn't imagine myself doing in vitro. But there was nothing else left. I mean, adoption or in vitro. I wasn't ready for adoption. So I said, you know what? We're going to try till we really cannot. And that's how our IVF journey started in 2023. We tried all year. 2023 was all dedicated to IVF. And I just went into this mode, just do it. Don't think about it. Just jump in and go with the flow. And it actually helped. The first try, okay, it helped. The second try, because you have to know that in Europe, they don't stimulate you to create more eggs, like so many eggs, like in America, for example. In America, you can be stimulated so much that you have 20, 25 eggs in one cycle. Over here, they recommend 5, 6 maximum. I decided to do everything in Italy, not in Poland, because we had a very weird situation in Poland regarding female rights in this particular time. So I figured something weird happens above all of this. I really don't know what to do. The first try, we had, I think, 5 embryos. 2 of them were great quality. So they recommended to transfer both. Well, both of them didn't stick. So then we did I think it was in April, second try. Second round of stims. This time we had 6 eggs, which came to 5 embryos, 3 good ones. So they said, okay, we transfer first the 2, fresh transfer. It didn't work. And at this point, I met you. I found you somehow on Instagram. I don't know how it happened. I started to watch all the videos on YouTube. You have an amazing channel where you can find all free bonus programs and yoga sequences and breathing exercises. And I thought, that actually helps me. At the same time, I started therapy. So I started to talk about my feelings, which was one of the hardest things, because I really didn't want to talk about this. It taught me a lot. It showed me that among other things, among other fears, among other pains and mournings, I mourned the mother that maybe I would never be, and the baby that maybe I would never have. And above all, I started to meditate. It was strange because I didn't know how to start, but I knew I had to do something to calm down my nervous system and to stop crying every time somebody mentions their child or baby shower or how they cannot stand their children or just anything connected with kids was just a trigger. And so that was the moment I wrote to you. I think after the second, and we were getting ready for the third transfer. But meanwhile, they didn't know why things didn't work in the clinic, so they decided to do more testing. And of course, with IVF, that never stops. You do more and more testing. And I had 3 uterine wall biopsies to figure out what's wrong, because the embryos were prime quality. They just didn't stick. And while the doctors didn't have any idea what's going on, I figured maybe I'm blocking something in my head. I don't know. Could be. I decided to do with the third transfer that happened in December with your programs, your free programs on YouTube and doing some routines that you put on Instagram. It helped me to ease the pain, the emotional pain. It helped me to find somehow balance, but I still wasn't 100% ready. And of course, this frozen transfer, the third egg that was left, embryo that was left, didn't work. After this, we had ahead of us a third round of stims. And I was like, no, come on, we have to do something differently, because if I do everything how we did till now, nothing will change. I mean, you cannot expect a different outcome from the same things that you're doing over and over again. It's not like a lottery. You just have to do something differently. And I was really ready to try everything. I figured that the only things that I didn't do was to buy your series program, the IVF, yoga, and Pilates for fertility. And I remember I wrote to you a question about acupuncture. So among other testings, another pile of things to do in the clinic, I decided to go with that. My husband was kind of against the acupuncture because he didn't believe in it and said it's just like throwing money for nothing. I mean, what can it do? The thing it did for sure is that it calmed me down. It slowed me down. So as I said before, I'm a very energetic person and I like to do things. I don't like to sit and wait. I like to do things, and I take everything with a lot of joy, even the unknown. But that was a little bit too much and I needed some help. So I decided, we're going to do the acupuncture before we start the stims. I'm going to start with your program. It's just relax this machine of mine, the body, because I'm too much in my head. And the other thing that also the therapy showed me is that I somehow managed to accept the fact that maybe really I will not be able to become a biological mother. Maybe we would just have to think about adoption, which is not such a bad thing, but still I wasn't ready. And I remember my mom talking about this because she had problems having me, completely different health problems, health obstacles, but still, also she took 4 years. It took her 4 years to have me. And I remember that they were talking about adoption. They told me that they were thinking about it, but she wasn't ready. And I understand. I understand because it's a tough decision. That was our last try. Last round of stims. We did everything with ease. I was calm. I didn't expect anything, not like with previous tries, not like I felt I have to do it. I have to be good at it because I'm very ambitious and, I always like to be the best. We tried to do our best. I was more calm, more relaxed, more focused. I was every day doing some yoga, some breathing exercises. I took my time with it because before I was doing a lot of gym, like run on the treadmill. I like to do cardio. I like to lift weights. I just don't like to sit in one place. I feel like time is just slipping through my fingers. I have to do something. So I like to be active. And this time it was hard to explain to myself, come on, slow down. Take your time. It's not a race. So I was just focusing on being relaxed and accept the situation. So we did the third round of stims. I remember that we went for the transfer because this round gave us four eggs. Four of them, all of them fertilized. All of them were good quality. They transferred one because I said, look, guys, I don't want to do with two. I want to do fresh transfer with one. I was really like, I knew what I'm doing, which never happened before. But okay, we're doing one. Yeah, the strong one, let's do it. Because one was very fast and two were good, still fast, but not as speedy like this one. And I remember I went for the transfer, happy like crazy. Then I continued with your breathing exercises when we came home. I did one before the transfer. I also did the same day of the transfer, the acupuncture. And look, every time I did acupuncture and your breathing exercises, I was falling asleep. I mean, I don't even remember the endings of your programs because one time, honestly, I swear, I fell asleep in the position of a puppy. I just fell asleep with my head on the mattress. And after every single acupuncture, I had to take a nap. So it definitely did something to my nervous system. And well, it really worked. So now I'm 9 months pregnant. I am 38 weeks and 5 days today. And I still cannot believe all this time I've been active. I bought your program, prenatal program. I did nearly all the exercises from yoga and Pilates. I felt so great. But I was also doing the weights, very light, but I was keeping my activity on. And all the pregnancy, I felt awesome. Besides the first 3 months that were truly horrible with all the nausea and just being plastered to the sofa because everything gave me, sent me to head down to the toilet. So yeah, apart from that, I felt great. I have no back pain. I don't have any symptoms. I don't have any contractions or cramps still. All the girls from the birthing school from the 22 weeks, even they said that they started to have contractions so early and they have back pain. I really don't know what it is. So with all my heart, I can recommend your programs, the breathing exercises, even if for some newbies it may sound really stupid. What is a breathing exercise? For what I need to learn how to breathe? Well, actually, you do. Yeah. So to non-believers, please just try to be open-minded and just go for it. And I think it was the turning table was also accepting the fact that it's not a race and it just can not happen and it will be fine. You just have to rewrite the idea of your life in your head. That was the short version of our fertility story.
Oh, Roza, thank you so much for sharing everything so openly. And I'm so sorry for your losses. It is so much to go through. And every round of IVF where you're losing these beautiful embryos is a loss as well. It's just so much to go through. And I am struggling to keep a few tears back as well. I loved so much of what you said about wanting to do something. And that's exactly where I came to my fertility journey. I was like, well, what can I do? What else can I add? What else can I, put into my life
What
to
did doctors answer you? Like, can you do
exactly.
something? And what did they answer?
Yeah, exactly.
Because to me, they said, no, we just have to try. It's just the statistics.
I know. It's not though, because you're not a statistic. And they are really only trained to administer medications and surgeries. And that's incredible because we have access to these amazing possibilities that we wouldn't have had 50 years ago. So we're incredibly grateful for all of that. But it doesn't address so much of the rest of your life and your mental health and how you're actually coping with your day-to-day activities. And there's just so much that isn't considered when you go down the medical path. So it is important to find this balance of I need to do something, but I also need to take a bit of a step back because when you're go, 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 and I'm going to add more supplements, I'm going to do more exercise because that gives me endorphins and it releases stress. And it is a bit of a tipping point where you realize that it has to be a balance in there somewhere as well.
Yeah, it was very hard to slow down for me. It was extremely hard because I'm also a type of person that wants to do everything herself. I don't like being helped. And it's kind of made me feel ambitious, like, what, you're telling me I cannot do it? For sure I can do it. I'm going to do it. So it gives me also more power to act. And it was hard to admit in front of myself that, hey, first of all, you don't have to, but second of all, and no, you cannot do it yourself. You need somebody to help you because, without talking about my emotions, they were really like boiling up in me and just another layer on top of another layer, just piling up. I was about to explode and I really didn't want to talk about my problems with people close to me. And I hated being triggered about other people's kids and getting up during conversation because I couldn't hold my tears. I mean, I still cry, but it's a different sort of crying. It's really less a panic and less mourning, but more disbelief that something actually worked and it is happening to me, like in real life, not in the dream or in my scenario that I wrote.
So much of what we do in yoga is around this idea of acceptance. And that is one of the hardest places to get to when you are struggling with fertility. This idea that you can be in the present moment and okay with where you're at. It's something that I struggled with for years and years. And like you said, I wish I had come to these practices much earlier on in my journey. And, as much as I wish I could wave my magic wand with everyone I worked with, and just say, cool, this is going to be the magic thing that gets you over the line. And often it is. It really does feel like a magic wand sometimes. But that obviously isn't why I do this work. The reason I do this work is to give you back your life, to give you back some of that. So much of, you lose yourself. And like you said, you don't
because we lose ourselves in this situation and in this process. You really first try. It helped me to be so focused and so determined. Let's just do it. Because after the surgeries, when I was not thinking what happened to me, I was fine. But the moment I started to think about it and talk about it, and I looked in the mirror and I saw the scars after the laparoscopy. I know they are not big, but they are there. And my body remembered. I mean, I had 2 surgeries. I had 3 pregnancies. And after each of them, I felt like a kid that just slapped their face on the ground and had to learn again how to walk. Because the moment I had also the strength finally and the figure that I've been working a lot in the gym for, I had to start from zero. So every time it was a lesson. And the moment I started to accept that and really notice my body, that it's no longer the image of the body that I had in my mind. It's a different kind of body. It's a body that has a story. I started to think about it as maybe it sounds a little bit too romantic or too, I don't know, movie like, a body of a warrior. Because you carry the wounds, a lot of wounds inside, but also outside. And I started to like them because they showed me that I can be strong. Even if I'm crying, even if I feel bad, I felt stronger through all this story of mine. And it's also very hard if you don't have something that drags your attention away, like, I don't know, a hobby, a passion. If you have a normal, ordinary, boring, sometimes job in the office, for example, you don't have this sort of escape. But me being an artist and finally accepting the situation and kind of shifting my focus from strong women into fragility and accepting that, you know what, I don't have to show you that I'm strong. I am fragile and I'm fine. I am girly. I like pink. And that's also fine. I don't have to be a strong bodybuilder dressed in black to show you that I'm serious and that I have something to say. And the moment I started to focus my paintings on femininity and the fertility journey that is not very attractive to everyone, and not everyone understands it or accepts it, I'm not only talking about internet trolls, but also about professionals. The moment I started to accept that and show it through my art, I felt like, yeah, I found myself. And that also helped me to calm down the nervous system, among all those other things that I mentioned. So if you like to write, if you like to, I don't know, sing, do it. Just find something that can disconnect you, but also connect you to yourself. Something else than just normal job that is an escape, a distraction. Something that can help you to understand what you're going through and just, gives you, like you're giving yourself a pat on the back. It's going to be fine. I actually taught my mom this. You know what? Leave everything. Just pat yourself and say, you're fine. You're all right.
It's so interesting what you say about these creative outlets, because in yoga, the sacral center, the womb space, is the center of creativity, and not just the creation of life, but the creation of joy and producing art and music and all of these beautiful things that we have in our world. And I remember in some of the darker moments after you and I met, when your third transfer wasn't successful, you said that you struggled to paint again, and that you couldn't go into the studio and found it so hard to get your brush down onto canvas. And that block of creativity is so profound. And I think that what I see time and time again with my students is when they allow themselves that piece of joy again in their life. And we don't all have to be painters. We can't all be as talented as you, Roza. But it doesn't have to be. For me, it was giving myself permission to go and do things that I enjoyed again, that I had said, no, I'm not allowed to do that because it's not going to help my fertility. Things like going for a swim every weekend. I decided that swimming wasn't necessarily good for my fertility, or going and doing all of the Pilates and exercise classes that I had put on hold.
Or even just take a massage or do a facial, just something for yourself. It doesn't have to be something useful.
Creating joy in your life is incredibly powerful and shouldn't be underestimated. So thank you so much for sharing that.
And it's not a sign of selfishness, because sometimes people tell you that, don't you have other problems? Why are you doing this? You should focus on fixing the problem. Well, this is the way to fix the problem as well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you as well about this idea of the trauma that your body had been through. And one of the things that I think is the biggest gift for these somatic practices like yoga and meditation and breathwork is that they allow us to process some of the trauma that we've been through without having to necessarily relive the memories or to go into detail or talk about it. I don't need to know the traumas of the students that I've worked with. I'm always open to having them share, but I find that these practices allow you to release those from your body in a way that talk therapy doesn't quite get to. Can you talk a little bit about how you found those experiences of just connecting with your body again?
It was, I think, one of the most difficult parts of the journey, because it's as hard as it is talking about the hard experience, it's even harder to connect it to yourself on a mental, emotional level, and to allow yourself to feel all those feelings without just forcing yourself to describe them. I started to listen to a lot of podcasts on YouTube of different people, doctors, PhDs, physicists, talking about releasing trauma. I signed up to a lot of webinars, which allowed me to somehow focus on what they were saying while I was working. Because a lot of people say that when you're a creative soul and you paint, you disconnect your brain and you're just there. It's like a meditative state. Well, it didn't work for me like that ever. I was always in my head. I had constantly conversations in my head, analyzing things, even what I said or did 5 years ago, which really sounds stupid, but it works like this. I decided to try to just go with the flow. Come on, everybody says about the meditation that you should try to do some breathing. So, well, the first tries, I was thinking, gosh, that's so stupid. I cannot even focus. I need to pee. I have to eat. This thing is itchy. Oh, I have to cook something for dinner. Oh, I forgot something from the laundry. So it wasn't easy. But then somehow I just managed to get to this state. And I'm not talking about 1-2 times or 1 week. It's the course of many tries. I started to feel myself inside. Closed eyes. I saw a lot of different things, lights, maybe memories, but no words, just feelings. And very often I ended up crying without even thinking about particular things. It felt like pressure from my body was just going away. I don't know how to verbalize it differently, but this is how I discovered that really it is very, very important to connect on the emotional level with yourself, and just really sometimes not even talk about how you feel, just feel it. Allow yourself to go through this tough situation. Notice your emotions, even if it seems stupid, just let it go. I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, you do exactly. You did. And the way you describe meditation is probably the thing I hear the most from students. And it was exactly my experience as well. You know, I get this comment all the time. I can't meditate. I'm so bad at meditating. newsflash, everybody's bad at meditating at the beginning. And on some days, I try to meditate every day, and I still have times where I sit down and my mind is like, not today. This is just not going to work. And that's okay. But it is when you can, even for 10 minutes, drop into your body and your breath, you will be astounded at what comes up and what your body can let go of. Because how often do we sit down and really listen to what our body needs and to what
I never
it's
did that.
asking for? Exactly. Because when are we taught this?
Never.
What doctors are telling us to do this? It's profound, the impacts that you can have by making these little adjustments into your day. And I like to think of it as not adding more onto your plate, because the last thing that someone who's trying to conceive needs is more things that I have to go and do an hour yoga practice. I have to go and sit down for 30 minutes to do my meditation. No, you don't. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I find that's when people start realizing what a difference they make. So thank you for sharing.
I started with 5 minutes, and then I managed to do as long as 20 minutes, but that's my top. And it's not like I have 20 minutes every day to do these things. Or as you said, I don't feel like it. I sit and like, nope, not today.
It's so true, isn't it? Roza, I am just so honored to have been there to support you in your journey and to watch you throughout your pregnancy. You are such a beautiful soul, and I can't wait to meet your beautiful, beautiful little boy. Roza,
do you remember when I wrote to you and I started to write in caption and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry for the yelling."
Oh yeah,
I just wanted to let you know that it happened.
Oh, I know. And whenever I get a message from a student like that, I do end up in tears, because I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but I get so invested in everyone's journeys, everyone that I work with. And I feel like your excitement is, my excitement. And I was thrilled to get that message from you.
For sure. You were all along the way with both of us, with all three of us now.
Well,
through all this journey.
I can't wait to meet him. Roza, if anyone is listening to this and they would like to reach out and maybe ask you a question about your experiences, where can people find you and have a look at your incredible art while they're there?
You can find me definitely on Instagram at Roza with the Z, because my name is actually Roza, which means
say it much more nicely than I do.
So it's Roza and then my surname Puzinowska. I think you will find it in caption in Jen's post, because it's a difficult surname. So I share my story. I share my studio time with you guys, and along the way, you, the viewers, the followers, you teach us to appreciate the road that we are on, even if it's not easy. I got so much so many opinions from other people that we were somehow in contact with, or we didn't even know each other, but they started to reach out and say, "Thank you for sharing your journey. We had no idea. You're always so full of color and joy, and you're always so active." And it's so strange to see that person like you can be hit with something so unexpected, not to say difficult, but really unexpected. And I think it's really, really important. So to share all those things behind the scenes, even if some people are, I don't know, triggered by it, not interested, you can see those things on my profile. So if you're interested, just reach out. If you have some extra questions, just don't be shy. Just write, ask away. The journey was tough. It's still tough, because I discovered myself on a completely different level. And I know I would never do it without this wobbly path that I had to go on to.
And my only hope for everyone who is on this journey is that someday you can look back at it and it will make sense. And sometimes it won't, but I hope that in
But you don't have to understand it.
That's true too, actually. Yeah, that's true. Or perhaps just know that it showed you what else was possible in your life that perhaps you didn't realize. And not just the baby, but, to be able to go through something like that and come out the other side, it can show you so much about yourself that you never really knew previously. So, Roza,
yeah,
thank you.
Or about your situation in life, your partner. Maybe it makes you feel closer to your partner. It could happen that it drives you apart, but in the long run, maybe it was supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
Maybe it was supposed to teach you something.
Exactly. And yes, I
Thank
will
you for
link
having me.
Of course, I will link your Instagram in the show notes so people don't have to guess the spelling of your surname. Roza, good luck on the next few weeks of your journey. It's going to be a very exciting time, and I so appreciate you being here today. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Roza is such a beautiful soul, and her little boy now is about 3 months, and he is the cutest little thing, and she is so incredibly happy. And it just goes to show how powerful and how strong and capable she is, and how you are as well. Now, if this is something that you're interested in learning more about, if you want to learn how these incredible tools of yoga and meditation and breathwork can support your own fertility journey, make this whole process feel easier, to really support your overall health and your fertility, regulate your nervous system, increase circulation, all of the good things that it helps you do, then join me at the end of the month. From the 28th of January, I will be running a free 3-day live fertility yoga series. So you can come and meet me, ask me all your questions. We have 3 beautiful practices to go through. We'll run some Q&A sessions. I'll teach you a little bit about cycle syncing, why nervous system regulation is so important, and so much more. At the end of this free 3-day series, such a tongue twister, you will have the opportunity to join me inside the In Your Element fertility yoga program if you choose to. I think you'll get a lot from the 3-day series absolutely on its own. You'll have so many tools that you can take home and use on your own. But if you want to work a little bit deeper with me, then you can join this program. It's a month-to-month program. You can cancel anytime, and it's a way to really use these practices in a lot more depth and tailor them specifically to your situation. So if you want to join me for that free 3-day live series, join via elementpilatesyoga.com/waitlist. Any questions you've got, please reach out to me anytime. So, in the meantime, if you have any questions or you want to know anything else about upcoming episodes, you've got any ideas, things that you'd like to hear, please reach out to me. On the next episode, we are speaking about how to get out of fear when you are trying to conceive. This is a huge topic and one that has been requested many times. So until then, I am sending you all my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in Mind-Body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. the course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.